Facing failure and learning from it. Failure is a part of life. No matter how hard we try, we will all experience failure at some point in our lives. It can be a painful and discouraging experience, but it's important to remember that failure is not the end. In fact, failure can be a valuable learning experience that can help us grow and become stronger. The first step in facing failure is to acknowledge it. It can be tempting to deny or ignore failure, but this only prolongs the pain and prevents us from learning from our mistakes. Instead, we should accept that we have failed and take responsibility for our actions. The next step is to reflect on the experience. What went wrong? What could we have done differently? It's important to be honest with ourselves and identify the areas where we need to improve. This can be a humbling experience, but it's necessary for growth. Once we have identified the areas where we need to improve, we can begin to develop a plan for moving forward. This may involve seeking out additional resources, such as training or mentoring, to help us develop the skills and knowledge we need to succeed. It may also involve setting new goals and adjusting our approach to better align with our strengths and weaknesses. It's important to remember that failure is not a reflection of our worth as individuals. We all make mistakes, and failure is simply a part of the learning process. By embracing failure as an opportunity to learn and grow, we can become more resilient and better equipped to face future challenges. In conclusion, facing failure can be a difficult and painful experience, but it is also an opportunity to learn and grow. By acknowledging our failures, reflecting on the experience, and developing a plan for moving forward, we can turn failure into a valuable learning experience. Remember, failure is not the end, it's just the beginning of a new chapter in our journey of growth and self-improvement. Dealing with failure, turning setbacks into opportunities. Failure is an inevitable part of life. Everyone will experience it at some point, whether in their personal or professional lives. While it can be discouraging and demotivating, failure can also be a valuable learning experience. By adopting a growth mindset and learning from our mistakes, we can turn setbacks into opportunities for growth and success. The first step in dealing with failure is to acknowledge it. It can be tempting to downplay or ignore failure, but this only delays the process of learning and improvement. Instead, we should face failure head-on and take responsibility for our actions. This means being honest with ourselves about what went wrong and accepting the consequences of our actions. The next step is to reflect on the experience. What can we learn from our failure? What went wrong, and how can we do better next time? This requires a willingness to be introspective and identify areas where we need to improve. It can be helpful to seek feedback from others and ask for advice on how to avoid making the same mistakes in the future. Once we have reflected on the experience, we can begin to develop a plan for moving forward. This may involve seeking out new opportunities or resources to help us improve our skills and knowledge. It may also involve setting new goals that align with our strengths and weaknesses, and adjusting our approach accordingly. It's important to remember that failure is not a reflection of our worth as individuals. Everyone makes mistakes, and failure is simply a part of the learning process. By embracing failure as an opportunity for growth, we can become more resilient and better equipped to face future challenges. In conclusion, dealing with failure requires a growth mindset and a willingness to learn from our mistakes. By acknowledging failure, reflecting on the experience, and developing a plan for moving forward, we can turn setbacks into opportunities for growth and success. Remember, failure is not the end, it's just the beginning of a new chapter in our journey towards self-improvement. Overcoming failure, strategies for learning and growth. Failure can be a difficult and demoralizing experience, but it's important to remember that it's also an opportunity for learning and growth. By adopting a growth mindset and developing strategies for overcoming failure, we can turn setbacks into valuable learning experiences and emerge stronger and more resilient. One strategy for overcoming failure is to reframe our mindset. Instead of seeing failure as a personal reflection of our abilities, we can view it as a temporary setback that provides an opportunity for growth. This shift in perspective can help us approach failure with a more positive and proactive attitude, and motivate us to learn from our mistakes. Another strategy is to practice self-compassion. It's easy to be hard on ourselves when we fail, but this only compounds the negative emotions and makes it harder to move forward. By treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, we can reduce the emotional impact of failure and focus on learning and growth. It's also important to seek support from others. Whether it's friends, family, or mentors, having a support network can provide encouragement, guidance, and perspective. Seeking feedback and advice from others can help us identify areas where we need to improve and develop strategies for overcoming future challenges. Finally, it's important to take action. Rather than dwelling on our failures or avoiding future challenges, we should take proactive steps to learn and grow from our experiences. This may involve seeking out new opportunities, learning new skills, or setting new goals that align with our strengths and interests.